Hey, you guys, welcome to Wild Raven Tarot. This is our new show that we will be doing weekly. My name is Bobby. I am joined by Ramon Moonscarab and Celina, Essence of the Moon. Okay, Celina, now the wind is kicking up on your mic.
I told you it was going to happen.
Yeah. The whole time we were talking backstage,
I know, it was fine.
There was nothing going on. It's like the forces all of a sudden, as soon as you click live,
it's
they
the
just
ancestors
kick in.
all coming in. That's what they're doing. All the
That's what
ancestors
they're
are coming
doing.
in to support us on this new channel. This new series.
That's right. And speaking of this new series, let me explain what's going on, you guys. I do a segment called Behind the Cards on this channel, on my channel, Wild Raven Tarot. Moon Scarab and Essence of the Moon, we went for a title that includes all of us. So we've got Behind the Moon here. This show will be dedicated to spiritual matters, tarot, witchcraft, any spiritual matters that cross our little minds, we're going to dig into. Today, we're going to be talking about grounding and protection and, the basics. But before we get into that, I want to say hi to my co-hosts. Ramon, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. Great to see you again.
Yeah, and Celina, how are you doing? Essence of the Moon.
Hola, I'm good. Just sitting outside, getting some wind and grounding outside. That's what we're doing today.
I cannot tell you how lucky I feel to have you guys on this channel. That is awesome.
We're lucky to be here.
Let's go ahead and say hi to some people watching. We've already got a nice house full. We've got Madam Maru. How you doing, my love?
Maruta.
And going down. Oh, we saw you come in. We're like, yeah, she's here. The queen has arrived. Miss Tarot
Yes.
D. Let's see who we got here. Underneath the veil of marigolds. Oh my gosh! If you guys haven't
That's
seen this,
Yadira. She's my girl.
check her channel out. Respect, mama. Respect.
Yeah, I love her, all her stuff, and I just
You guys,
love her personality, her attitude, she's just an incredible bruja.
yeah, if you guys think I'm direct, you've got to check out Underneath the Veil of Marigolds. I mean,
you guys are like two peas in a pod.
I can't wait to have her on my
I
channel.
know.
This is gonna be
I
so
know.
awesome.
I love her.
Midwest Magician. What an awesome
Oh,
name.
That
So
is
cool.
Sophie, and she is also an incredible witch. I love her
Linda.
too. Yeah, she's from Chicago. So hi,
We-
Sophie.
I love it. Julianne,
Mhm.
Linda. Hershey. What's up, girlfriend? Witchy best friend. Alexis, you beautiful spirit, you. Tools of Fortune. What a great name.
Mhm.
That's Bill. That's
Ramblin'
Bill's other
Rose.
channel.
Oh, is it?
Mhm.
Hey, Bill, how you doing? Ramblin' Rose 777, Rossi, Sonia, lots of people.
Mhm.
If I haven't, hold on. I just had a pop up on my freaking screen. I hate it when they do that. All right. So before we start, what I'd like to do. Oh shit! It popped up again. I told you, Celina, this computer. What I'd like to do is ask you guys both to explain why you chose your channel names. We might as well let everybody get to know us, right?
Mhm.
It's not like everybody doesn't know Ramon.
Some do, some don't. In my case, Moonscarab. Well, I went through a lot of. I'm sorry, Celina should have gone first. Right?
I know.
That's
No.
Go ahead, Celina. No. Go ahead, ladies first.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Wasn't
trying to move it. I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
That's fine. It was meant to be her first.
It
Go
was
ahead.
meant to be.
Um, so my name Celina means goddess of the moon, and so that was the initial why I wanted to pick up or use the name Moon. It's because of my name, what it means. Essence of the moon. I actually went to sleep and it was a dream that came, and the word essence kept getting repeated in that dream. So essence of the moon came to life, but as I was thinking about what essence of the moon means, and it's someone who kind of just walks in between all of those phases of that moon, who, sorry about the wind, it's picking up, guys. I think that's my ancestors coming in to say hello, so apologies. um but it's the essence is, it's an ethereal kind of like magical feeling that the moon gives you in all those different phases. And it's appropriate because we are continuously going through phases in our life. And it's, to me, it felt right to call myself that, essence of the moon. So that's my name. That's where it came from.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
I love that. It's true. Everything cycles through.
Mm-hmm.
Ramon.
So the name of my channel is Moon Scarab, and it just combines two different things that you know I've always been fascinated by. The moon, of course. The moon has been a beacon. It's been like this source of inspiration for humanity. Lots of cultures have measured time using the moon. In a scientific aspect, the evolution of life has been strongly influenced by the moon. And, it's one of those beautiful things that are magical to me, not only energetically for what it represents or its force of attraction, but it's also like we see the sun every day, right? But the moon, to me, like it pops up and then you kind of like forget about it. And a couple days later, she looks different and then she disappears and reappears. It's like so magical. It's fascinating. It's since I was a child, I've always been fascinated by the moon. The scarab part is inspired by the dung beetle, which is this insect that carries like this big dome of feces or of waste from other big mammals, and it's such a fascinating insect that the ancient Egyptians, the creators of like these the fantastic architectural pieces and history, elevated to a deity, and that's Kepri. Kepri was one of the aspects of the god Ra, and it was represented by a beetle. And what the beetle did, or Kepri did, was move the sphere of the sun throughout the sky. And it's a story that always fascinated me. It's a Egyptian god that there's really no temples dedicated that's been found dedicated to Kepri. It's all been merged with Ra. But a couple years ago, I did a visit. I went to Egypt, and I saw a depiction of Kepri, and it's like the body of what we typically see as the human figure, but the head is a a scarab, is a beetle, and I fell in love with it. So I combined those two different things, and to me, the beetle, the dung beetle especially, is a metaphor of us humans. I see it that way because the dung beetle, the waste that it picks from other mammals, it it finds nurture in it. It eats from it. It lays its eggs there. So it's like an edible nursery. And in spite of how heavy it is, it carries it throughout its journey. And I see us that same way. We go with our ball of issues and crap through life, and still we try to find nurture and sustenance and a path forward in our way. So I combine those two different things in a name, and I feel I identify with it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey, Bobby, I think you're muted.
I am. Um, it's good because my telephone started ringing. I was like, crap, I forgot to put it on silent. Uh, what I was saying is that you've got a good mix of the sun and the moon going with everything there,
Hmm.
with the name. That's awesome. And as for my name, ravens are messengers of the divine. I work, I've made no secret of the fact that I work with Hermes and Hecate. Hermes is the lord of winged messengers. And I like to think that this life, what I'm doing now, is a job interview for after I pass, going to work for these gods as a divine messenger, one of the spirit guides. That's what I really want to do. Um, I know everybody has their image of the afterlife. I want to continue serving my gods. Um, and that's pretty much where I got my name from. The wild part is just because I don't really fit into the normal tarot reader mode. I'm a little out there, is the best way to say it. I'm a little too truthful sometimes. But yeah, there's that. Which is why I say go check out Marigold's channel.
Yadira,
Yeah, oh my gosh, her channel is so
underneath the
good.
veil of marigold. Yeah.
I
Here,
watched her for, I shit you not, Celina. I watched 3 minutes and I was like, I love this woman.
I'm
So
telling
yeah,
you, she's the
expect to
real
be
deal.
contacted. Yeah,
She's so good.
I love it. Today we're talking about grounding, protection, and why these things are needed, both in tarot reading or spiritual readings and spiritual practices like magic or witchcraft. Um, Grounding and protection is a must. I'm going to open it up to Celina to take the lead on this. Celina, why is grounding so important?
Oh gosh. It's something that I feel should be done every single day. It kind of like just centers you right back into your body and who you and just kind of like, yeah, that's what it does. It like grounds you, right? It just kind of connects you to your body and your feelings and everything. Grounding to me is important because I have severe anxiety. And if I don't ground, my anxiety gets really, really bad. And if I am having a really bad episode, grounding is what kind of brings me back into balance, back into focus. Um, and there's different ways you can ground. I mean, I was outside earlier today walking on the grass, and that's one way to do it.
Mhm.
Centering yourself, doing some breath work is another way to do it. Heck, hugging a tree. I love hugging trees. I'm a tree hugger. I'm not afraid to say that. Um, or using grounding stones, like different types of stones can help with that. But I use all of those things on a daily basis because I do struggle with severe anxiety. But I also, when I'm trying to get ready for any type of spiritual practice, it just kind of brings my whole soul into one little like bubble, and I mean, I feel protected when I do that, so that's why grounding for me is important. And those are just a couple things that I do to ground myself.
Okay, awesome. Ramon?
Mhm.
So to me, grounding is, that process of connecting our energy to, it could be to the earth's energy, but more than anything to our own center to be able to bring balance, to bring clarity, and more than anything, calm. Why is it important? Because it prevents energetic overload, spiritual burnout. It might help us clear away energies that we might have picked from situations, from other people. It centers our body and our mind towards the truth, before and after most of the time spiritual works. So grounding is important because it helps us find equilibrium and balance, uh, so we don't tilt. basically. It's just like to
Tilts.
be able to, yeah, to
I
be
like
able to
that.
tell, it's bring us to the center, and that center creates a balance and equilibrium, not only within ourselves, but our environment.
Awesome. Um, I'm along the same lines as Celina. I do suffer from anxiety, um, and centering myself and grounding myself. When I talk about centering and grounding, I more like to use the phrase remembering. I'm remembering that I'm here. I'm remembering that I'm standing in this spot. I'm remembering that I'm looking at this. Um, when you see me do my unboxing videos, uh, you see me sometimes say, "What am I looking at?" That's one of the things I do to ground myself. What am I looking at? What am I hearing? What am I smelling? Um, the whole idea is to bring yourself. It's centering, exactly. It's in the name. It's on the box there. We're centering. We're bringing our awareness into ourselves to this precise moment. Um, and the reason I think it's so important is because magical practices, spiritual practices can get all fuckered up if you're not careful. Um, uh, it's basically a case of fuck around and find out. I'll give you an example. Back in 1990, I had a conflict with a friend and it ended our friendship. And at that time, it was bad enough to where I reached for my magical supplies, right? I cobbled together a quick curse. Um, what did Bobby forget to do? Bobby forgot a circle of protection. Bobby forgot to center himself. Um, and I threw so much emotion into it, I had no doubt it would work. What I wasn't prepared for was the backlash I suffered. The very next day, everything went wrong, including me slamming my hand in the door as I was trying to leave the house. I had to have my ring cut off. If I wasn't wearing a ring, I probably would have lost those fingers. It was one of those thick doors. Um, Problems at work that day. Everything went wrong. I had to call my mommy, a grown ass man calling his mommy saying, yeah, hypothetically speaking, say I did this, this, and this, but I may have forgotten this. Would that matter? And she just laughed at me, basically. Um, but I had to go through a whole bunch of stuff to fix everything. That's something I want to point out too. I'm not the type of witch who sits back and turns the other cheek. I'm not that witch. No, I will defend myself in every way I have available to me.
I
Um,
think you have to. I mean, is
yeah.
it if you have to, like when we were having this conversation during an orbit,
Mhm.
you have to be able to work with both light and darkness, because that is the balance of the universe.
Balance. Yeah.
When you give out too much light all the time, you get exhausted. You have to
Yes.
be able to uh, be a little bit selfish too. And when I say selfish, I don't say it necessarily in a negative way, but more in a sense of protect yourself,
Yeah.
protect the people around you. And sometimes you have to delve into the dark side. It's totally normal. You know?
Yeah,
Yep.
it is. It's necessary, like you say, at times.
And I have no problem doing that. Like I said, and during my in orbit, I've said that in with Bobby with his interview. I have no problem protecting myself, protecting my family. If anybody comes at me, I will defend myself. I will protect myself. But we were talking about ethics in during in orbit, and there's just stuff that I will not do for other people when it comes to that darker stuff, just because there's an ethics. Again, the same thing with tarot ethics. There's magic ethics that I completely abide by. And it's my rules. It's not like, oh, this is the book you have to follow for those ethics. This is just how I feel and what I feel is right for myself.
That's the only compass we have
Yep.
available to us, the inner compass, our inner guide.
Correct.
Um, getting back to the protection, when working magic, it's a given. You need a circle of protection. You're raising elemental forces. You're raising magic and spirit. I don't necessarily always go through a protection ritual when I sit down to read tarot, though. I've got my spirit guides set in place to where I'm just confident they're fielding anything that may want to come at me. But there are new readers who don't have a connection with their spirit guides yet. They don't have that awareness yet. I talked this week to somebody who is during the reading, I started asking questions. Are you having this happen to you? Is this happening to you? Are you feeling? And she says yes, yes, and yes. And I was like, dude, these are spirit guides trying to get in touch with you. So if you don't want to continually have this buzzing fly type feeling in your ear, make friends with it or tell it to go away, one or the other. But there's no in between. I would advise making friends with it. Trust that angel. If you have that angel that you could ask for protection, ask it. If you have somebody who's passed, like your parent that you had a great relationship with, ask them to bring your guide to you. And then just start paying attention to what pops up around you. If you see dogs everywhere you turn, text messages, TV, everything, then it's a dog spirit maybe wanting to get in touch with you, saying you may need your pack. If there's birds, then maybe there's messages that need to reach you. It could be anything, but just be open to it. Ramon, when did you first realize that there were guides available to you?
My whole life. As I was raised in a Christian faith, so the concept of a higher power, of spiritual forces, has always been part of my life. And that was my foundation to this path. My views on the spiritual world has changed, the world in general, but is that initial exposure to spirituality was what gave me the base of this. you know um
That's this is a good question from Tools of Fortune. How do you distinguish between ringing in your ear due to hearing loss and the buzzing in your ear from the spirit world? There is a major difference. When I say ringing or buzzing, I don't mean actual, but I feel it in the back of my head. That's where I feel my spirit guides. If they're on this side, it's family. If they're on this side, it's strangers. But it's
you know I
yeah,
think one knows the difference. I mean,
yeah.
your
Over time,
body, you know how do you perceive not only sounds and everything, but also spiritual forces. So how depends how you feel. You just like instantly though.
yeah. If I
Basically.
honestly, if you have a deity or you're Christian or pray, pray to bring that connection into place, and I'm pretty sure it'll happen for you. People have spirit guides come in and out of their lives, animal guides especially. Some are with us for our whole life, others are with us briefly just to get us over this certain hump. um, but it's just like the people in our lives. If you don't pay attention to when they enter and what they have to say, you're going to miss the opportunity. They're kind of limited on how they can communicate with us, so it's up
Yeah, I
to us.
mean, that's the important part, is paying attention and knowing the difference between, like, tinnitus or having your spirit guides actually talking to you,
That's the
or
word.
yeah,
Thank you. It was killing me.
tinnitus, or walking into a room and there's a temperature change and there's like a shift of, it's heavy, it's different, it smells different, you just feel different. It's understanding those subtle changes when you are trying to, I mean, even when you're not trying to connect with spirit, they're going to let you know that they're there. They're going to let you know that they're trying to talk to you, and you just have to pay attention to all the signs that are around. And that, I
Absolutely.
mean, and that is like it's a muscle. It's not something you're just going to wake up one day and automatically it's, you know, it's working. You have to keep working on it. You have to keep testing it, to be able to grow it and make it stronger.
Yeah, when your first day in the gym, you don't have the
Yeah.
muscle, you
No.
don't have the power yet, but as time goes by, you're building that fortitude, that strength, that awareness. Uh, People ask me how to build their spiritual awareness to do tarot, and I'm like, well, you're not getting it. Tarot is the tool to build your spiritual awareness. This is how you build your intuition. It's the only way I know, so that's the only way I teach. Do either of you think there's an inherent spiritual danger in reading tarot?
Not necessarily. It really depends how you approach tarot. Not everybody approaches or reads tarot in the spiritual sense.
Or
Some
respectfully.
people,
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
true,
yeah.
huh?
Some people use it for the psychological exploration. Literally, even it's like, for example, myself, there's some decks that I use only for psychological exploration. For others, I use specifically for spiritual practices. I have others that I use exclusively with certain deities, specifically like Santa Muerte, for example. So it
Mhm.
really depends what is your approach to your intention, what tools you're using. So it's a combination of a lot of different things. But if you are a danger, it really depends on your intent, how educated you are. I think there's a responsibility of like educating yourself in in what you are delving into. It's like with everything, is
It's
you're
like
not.
I mean, it's like with the Ouija board. You
Yeah,
can use a Ouija board and know how to protect yourself, how to use it properly, have the proper people there with the right mindset to be able to use Ouija board. It's just another divination tool. I
Mhm.
think, and that's, people use it in the wrong way, don't know how to close properly, don't know how to enter properly. It's
then you're opening up the doorway
correct.
to you're basically
But I think
saying,
you can
"Come on
open up the
in,
doorway
fuckers."
the same way with
Mhm.
tarot. I feel like you can do the same thing with tarot,
Yeah.
opening up doorways, opening up portals per se. I mean, a mirror is a portal. If you don't know how to properly cleanse mirrors, I mean, properly
Yeah.
seal them,
I use mirrors in my magic work.
correct. So if you don't know how to cleanse those properly, seal them properly, it's the same thing. That technically is a portal, and it's the same thing with the Ouija board. If you don't know how to use those things properly, you shouldn't be using those that are a lot more dangerous to be using, and you should be in the right mindset when you are trying to do a divination with tarot, with a
That's where
Ouija
the
board, with
centering
any of
comes
that
in.
stuff. Correct. You
Mhm.
and it's also having the right intent. Like, it's not, if you have a bad intentions for what you're trying to do, then you are opening up yourself to be in a lot more danger than you would if you were just reading tarot because you're reading it for yourself. You're trying to read a situation for yourself. You are making it a lot more difficult for yourself to be fully protected if you don't
Yes.
protect yourself properly and have continuous protection, as well as using your guides and spirit guides to help put that bubble around you and again protect you. So protection is very important, grounding is very important, and those are like the basics needed to do any of this stuff with casting spells, with reading tarot, with oracle, with Ouija board, spirit work. You need to know how to ground and protect, and now those are like the basics to do anything.
I'll be honest with you guys. Sometimes I look up the other side just so I could be balanced. I look up things on the internet and on YouTube about the negative things people have to say about tarot, the warnings people have. Oh, don't do that; it's demonic. And To an extent, I could understand what they're talking about. There are associations for angelic and demonic with the tree of life in the Kabbalah aspect, but tarot itself, no. It's got a devil on it. Yeah, it's got a bad rep, but you know how many angels are in that deck? You don't bring that up, I hear. One of the things that bothers me about when people find out that I'm a magician or witch and a tarot reader is the first thing out of their mouth is, "Oh, you shouldn't play with that." I know. I'm not playing. Trust
Hmm.
me, I'm not playing. I'm well studied. Um,
You're
no,
serious about what you're
Eh,
doing. You know,
yeah.
it's not. I
yeah,
mean, I don't see it as a game. It's for me. It's very real. It should be respected as you would respect an elder in your family. It's the same way you should respect all of these tools for divination.
And I
tarot
and
allows.
I actually encourage also to look at the other side. I think we all do it, and I do it. For example, if I'm gonna buy a product, I always read the negative reviews
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
read the
My
positives
husband
because
does that
I do
I
that.
I start with
see
the
if it's
negative
like real
reviews,
stuff.
and
Like
then I
he
go,
wants to
yeah,
know. Yeah.
because that gives you perspective, and then
Hmm.
from there you form your own opinion.
Opinion. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I am lucky that I developed my magical practice, my connection with the deities and tarot all along the same timeline. It wasn't I learned
Me
this
too.
and then I did
Yeah.
this and then I did this. I was lucky enough to do it all at once so that I learned the spiritual aspect of tarot along with the meaning of it. Ramon is correct, and I forgot all about it. There's a lot of readers who don't have spirit work assigned to their tarot readings. They don't
Hmm.
use any type of psychic ability. They go strictly on the numerology and the pictorial insights. And that still blows my head away. How could you not know how powerful a tool this is?
Hmm.
It just psychs me out. It really does.
It,
Um,
it depends what energy you infuse in it, because at the end it's just paper and ink. But once you
yeah.
Hmm.
consecrate it, you work with it, you infuse your energy, it transforms
Hmm.
into something different. You know, it's
When that movie Tarot came out last year, I was
I've not
convinced
seen that.
it was a crappy movie.
Oh, okay.
Even as far as scary movie goes, it was a crappy movie. I love scary movies, but it was eh. But I was convinced it was going to start a whole big thing with tarot. People were going to be like, burn the witches, and they were just going to come after us.
Yeah.
Luckily, the movie flopped, but it did make me start looking at people's viewpoints towards
Hmm.
tarot more and realize not everybody has the same views that I do
Hmm.
about spiritual matters. Um, I forget because everyone in my life is spiritual in some way. I'm surrounded in my personal life by psychics, witches,
Hmm.
brujas, just magicians.
See,
I have
we weren't all that lucky, Bobby.
I well, I sought out this tribe
Yeah.
now. I'm an old man and I want to surround myself with things that I resonate with. And so I started meeting people. I started bringing and being very selective about who my
Hmm.
friends are. The problem is that I'm in a bubble of spirituality now that I forget not everybody is woo woo. Not everybody is free talking about magic, witchcraft, psychic
Yeah.
matters.
And not everyone's going to see just the typical mundane. They're not going to see it as magical as we do, because we definitely see things in a more magical perspective. Like when the light's hitting a specific flower at a certain light and it's just glowing this beautiful
Yeah.
color. You know, we see things a lot deeper. We definitely see the spirit of of the plant. We see the spirit of the butterfly. Like I think we're cooler. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think we're cooler.
We're cooler.
I agree.
We're muggles, but we're cooler.
But
Everything
we
is magic.
also have to keep in mind that even within the tarot community, not everybody uses tarot in a spiritual sense.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what you were
because
saying.
I've seen that. I've seen like people who are seasoned tarot readers kind of like frown at the fact that you are using tarot as a
That's
spiritual
I
tool.
remember his name.
Yeah, and even within the spiritual sense, there's different levels of spirituality that you can use it for. Some people use it for magic. Some people use it for in the spiritual sense, but it's for spiritual growth, you know,
I mean,
for like
sometimes I use
enhancement, for
mine for
clarity.
magic.
So,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
mhm.
I use my tarot cards for magic when I'm doing
I
a
have magic
spell
desk.
work.
Yes.
I
Some
totally do
people,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
some people use it, you know, actively as part of their magic process, their magical process. Other people use it as a monitor, you know, sort of like to read the energy of that
Yeah.
Yeah.
process you're going through. There's a
hmm
lot of different levels, you know, how you use it. It's all about intent
hmm
and in how responsible you are with it and your approach to it. It's simple.
That so I totally lost the thought that I was going to say right there. Because you nailed the truth of the matter. Intent is everything. Um, I think that if you're concerned that it is spiritually negative or bad for you, don't do it. Okay? Just if something doesn't feel right for you, don't do it.
And then
Right?
everyone practices differently. Everyone reads tarot differently. There are no two magicians the same. There are no two tarot readers the same. There are no two you know, people that worship the devil. They're all there's I mean, none of them are the same, you know. Everyone does things differently. Everyone has different approaches to why they're doing that, why they're not doing something. I mean, or you know, even reading tarot. Like I mean, I don't read tarot like other people do, and I'm
Yeah.
more intuitive. And yes, I do use the meanings, but I use more intuition than I do anything else. I let my
Mhm.
guides and my ancestors tell me what's really happening.
Not only it's different between two people, but also it varies within your own journey,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe when you start with tarot, used to read it in a certain way, but as you
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
progress, you know, uh,
Totally.
your field view of spirituality or your practice change. You approach it in a different way. You have different meanings to it. Some people, you know, don't use keywords. Some people do. Some people are just purely intuitive based on the images. So, you know, it not only varies from person to person, but also where you are in your journey.
Yeah, you're gonna get out of tarot what you put into it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I am an overachiever. It's been pointed out to me on many occasions. I take things too far. Um, that's why try to study all the different aspects of tarot. And I got to tell you, when I started Thoth Tarot, that really messed me up, you guys. It took learning tarot in a whole new direction with the Tree of Life. I never should have started. It's just um it it like you were saying, Ramon, it's deep and you can go as deep as you want. But the
Hmm.
reward is that by studying all the different aspects like astrology, the Hebrew aspects, Kabbalah, it gives you more of a well to draw from when you're doing your readings. Um, yeah, I just, if you don't feel right doing something, don't do it. That's the big thing for me. And this is going to make me sound bitchy. I remembered what I was going to say a minute ago. Is that a lot of these people online saying, down with tarot, don't do it. I used to do it. I feel a lot of them are saying that because they couldn't get the connection out of it that they were trying for. Um, it's a case of screw you guys, I'm going home. It bothers me. I'm going home.
Reminds me, Eric. Screw
Yeah,
you
Eric.
guys, I'm going home.
That's the
Eric
one.
Cartman.
That's exactly what I was referring to. If they're not getting the rewards in the way they want, they're going to shoot it down. If they can't. Tarot is intuitive. It's not fact based. I had a reading a couple weeks ago with a lady, and she was very insistent that the reading didn't resonate with her. And she made a rude comment to me. And I wasn't rude back because it was part of, I was contracted that day to do like an event. What I did tell her, though, was it may not make sense to you now, but it may, remember it. And if I was 100% right all the time, I wouldn't be doing mini psychic fairs at a dude ranch. So, you got to cut your readers some slack. We're not omniscient. We don't know everything. We're just relaying what we feel. I do what I do to help people. I'll admit that when I first picked up my first tarot deck, I did it to be a badass. However, the gods are tricky that way. They're like, nope, you started this road. Learn it. Do it. And I'm grateful that I took the fool's journey the way I did.
Mm-hmm.
Me
I mean,
too.
there's a lot of elements involved in that too. I mean, maybe the person wasn't receptive to the message.
Yeah,
maybe there was some blockage there. Maybe the message at the moment did not apply, but down the road it would.
Well, here's the thing. It was only one card. We went over everything after it, and it was only one card that she had a problem with. The other 11 cards were perfectly fine with her. They vibed, but that one card, since it didn't have anything connection, she trashed the whole reading.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I was telling myself, well, you can't win them all, but
no,
I did my job.
Take her or
I
leave
told
it.
her,
This is the message, lady.
exactly. This is the message.
I
You can
mean,
take it.
that's up to you to decide what you're going to do with it.
Ethics are a big deal with what we do. Ramon, who will you not read for? What will you not read on?
I guess it's anything that invades the will of another person. I think it's here in the community we have like certain standards of what we read for or what we read on. A lot of people don't read on medical. They don't read of relationships directly involving like the other person, health. I think it really depends on the context. Maybe in a private setting, I will, and in the public sphere, live, it's very different. It depends also. I would do it if it's face to face. It's at a distance. It might be much more difficult to connect with the energy. I think I'm very open to reading into any topic, but it depends how I feel. If it's the right moment, or something that normally I would read, if I feel it's not, the energy is not there, there's not going to be a positive outcome, like deep inside where your limits and your boundaries are.
Yeah, you instantly get a vibe if you should or should not be reading for that specific topic, that person. And you're like, and you start to hesitate if you want to do it, then that to me is my cue. It's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it right now. How about I try do it a different day? It's just, I just can't do it right now. And that's what I've said before to other people, that when I get like a vibe and I'm not really like, my guides are probably telling me you're not grounded enough, you're not protected enough for whatever situation you're going to start reading for. And I think that's when they start giving me the making me feel the hesitation or that vibe. And I'm like, yeah, how about I do it a different day? And, you know, I
There's
do that.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of being responsible with what you're doing, because this is a responsibility.
Hmm.
You know, being able to interpret that energy, you're conveying a message, and you want to do it in the most respectful, accurate as
Yeah.
possible, to the
Yeah.
interpretation of the message, but also with a sense of responsibility,
And be
because
in the
it
right
does.
mindset. Like,
Hmm.
you know, if, like for me with my
So
anxiety, there's times that I can't, you know, and I'm like, I'm not in the right mindset to be able to do any of that.
yeah, so you have to honor and respect how you
Hmm.
feel, you know, and it's
For
totally valid.
me, there I respect people's personal matters greatly along the lines of what you were talking, Ramon. If I'm reading online and I get a hit on something, and I just was talking about this with Celina the
Hmm.
other day, I think, and if I get a hit and it's something too personal that I really don't think should be thrown out on the internet, I'll take it offline with them afterwards or set up a private session with them. But
Hmm.
I'm not gonna throw out online, "Are you having an affair with your best friend's husband?" or something like, you know,
Yeah. Or I see that your spouse is having an affair,
yeah, "Is your
you know,
man
like
sleeping
stuff like that.
around?"
That's very, you
Yeah,
know, it's personal.
that is the type of thing that does not need to be said on air.
Mm-mm.
Um, as far as third parties, that's a tricky one for me. I'll tell you why. There are times when I go to do a session, and if I'm not meant to do that session, I can't see anything. I'm not talking, I can see this card, but not this card. It doesn't make sense. I'm talking, I'm looking at a table of shapes. I cannot see or feel the cards. I'm
Mhm.
blind. Um, and when that happens, I'll switch decks and try a different deck. If it's still happening, I'm going to tell my client, this is not working for me right now.
Mhm.
Um, I think we're going to need to delay this session and
Mhm.
try again later. Um, but if I can read it, if it makes sense to me, I'm going to read it. Um, now, there is that sense of being respectful to your client's privacy.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there's that part that says, well, you asked on a public forum, you should be prepared for it. In part, yeah. But these are human beings we're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah. I forgot to do this. I want to show everybody how awesome these are. Celina sent me a gift. Okay, this is a wood plaque that says Hermes
Oh,
with
that's
his image.
beautiful.
Now, that's cool enough, but she sent a companion one that's dark and
Mm.
says Hecate on it. So I've been keeping them at my station, one on each side. Um, when I forgot to show these when we were talking about grounding tools, I have my dark stone and my light stone, my selenite, my copernite, and these are what I use during readings. I've either got them in my hands clutched like this, or I'm uh, playing with this necklace.
Mhm.
Um, and these are my grounding tools. So yeah, there's that. Um, I don't think there's anything else on that. There's is a code of ethics that we should follow. Because I know what I wanted to bring up, the fact that there are readers out there whose main goal is to get a reaction out of you, to make you cry or to make you feel something so they can say, see, I told you. Um, we have a reader here in my town like that. She's just a brutal person. She has, in my opinion, very little spiritual connection. She's doing what she's doing for the money and quote unquote glory, but
So people like to go and get tortured by her, like
no, they
Gordon
don't.
Ramsay if they're adults.
No, they don't. Another friend of mine had to step in a public reading at a psychic fair when this woman was going at her client. She was just saying, your husband is going to die soon. You need to start looking for another man. You need to. Yeah, it was that type of thing.
Oh my God.
It was brutal. It was not good. And this woman was in tears. So,
Well, yeah, that's horrible.
one of my best friends, Mama D, stepped in and said, whoa, 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 whoa. And she stopped it. And pulled her aside and said, you can't be doing that. They're not here to be beaten up by us. You know, they're coming to us, some of them at the worst point in their lives.
Exactly.
You know, when I say bad readers, that's the person that comes to mind. Only because honestly, she's an older lady, like in her 70s. And I think she's just that way.
Wow.
And yeah. So I have on my videos, you guys, my oath to Hermes as a tarot reader. And that is my reminder that what I do is important. And some people will take our words to heart. They will make decisions based on what we tell them. That's why it's very important that you stress, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an engineer, I'm not this. What I am is a spiritual guy with a deck of cards, and I'm going to tell you something you may not be aware of. That's the goal, is to make you aware of things.
Yeah.
What is your goal?
Me?
Either of you.
Goal specifically for?
When you read tarot.
I just want
to find clarity.
Yeah.
To find clarity.
To help
find direction.
Like you said, people are coming to us in their worst times. You know, you want to be able to help them to get some better understanding on what's happening in their life or what's going to happen in their life. And if I'm able to do that and help them make a decision because they are unable to make a decision at that time, and if the cards say, you know, this is what the card's suggesting, this is what it's, you know, thinking, this is what it's saying, what will happen, what will not happen, but it's still up to you. The path is still up to you. It's ever changing. The cards can read something today for you, you know, something today for you, but tomorrow it could be totally different because your path is changing. You are deciding on a different path in your life. So those cards are not going to really mean much to you because it has completely changed, or it's not going to be the same outlook. So to me, it's just making sure that I give them additional information that they're perhaps needing to be able to make that decision on their own.
Yeah. And that's very important. And that's something I always mention to people. I don't believe in fate. You know, I think there's so many that we have free will and agency to make our decisions and influence our outcomes. What I tell people is the cards, when I read the cards, it's like tapping into the temperature of the situation. So like a snapshot of the energies at the
energy
moment.
around the situation. Yeah.
At the moment, you know, but this can definitely change depending on your influence on the matter, the influence of other people. I see it more as the universe kind of giving you heads up on this is what it looks like. These are the possible outcomes, and you make your decisions based on that. You know,
I tell you, I view myself sometimes as that scary dude outside of the forest going, there's ghosts in them there forest, beware. You know, I'm just there to give a warning. I'm there to give a heads up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you know, and I think
and then it's
these
for
are not
entertainment purposes only. Isn't that what Tarot Stash says? This is for entertainment purposes only.
But these are concepts that are not I mean, we explain it to people here in this forum, but these are concepts that are not alien or strange to any of us. We do it for ourselves. You know, when we read cards, we're looking for clarity. We're looking for direction. You know, what's different is that it's the words that we use, the energy that we infuse in it. Because sometimes when I'm reading for myself, I don't utter words. So, like in my mind, I know exactly what the cards mean, the
Yeah.
message that it's saying. But that I know, you know, it's sort of like my spirit or my mind, my spirit and my mind having a conversation. But when you there's like feelings that sometimes it's hard to translate into words. So you got to be careful with the words that you choose and the intention that you put into it, because it could totally skew the message. No.
Right. That's very important what you said right there. I've used phrases in my readings, making pop culture references. I use a lot. Um, Somebody may not have gotten the same out of a show that I got. So when I make a reference to a scene in the Avengers movie and they haven't seen the movie, it's kind of useless. You know, I need to be able to relate to them in a way that they're going to get. Um, that's one of the reasons I use so many decks. It really is. That plus I'm just a card whore when you come right down to it. I can't stop. I have an addiction. I know Gerald says purchase responsibly,
Same.
but
Yeah,
Miss
I'm
Tarot D says,
responsible.
Carol D says, I don't read for myself. My fees are too high. You can't afford yourself, Miss Tarot D.
I love that.
She can't afford herself, basically.
Yeah. She's fun.
What Celina said about using tarot for magical practices, that's a big thing with me. Joey just gave me a sweatshirt that said Divination Witch on the back of it. I love it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I use it when I'm like, for example, I don't have a specific herb, or I don't want to pull out all my herbs for a specific spell. I'll put them on, like I'll put the candle on top of the cards, like what it is I'm trying to use, what words they mean. I'll put a candle on top of that, and then that is my spell. So there are many things that you can use for spells. You don't have to have all the herbs. You don't have to
No.
have all the crystals, all the candles. You just need
Yeah.
really yourself. You yourself are the magic. You yourself, as long as you have the intention, the like when you're putting like doing a spell, you have to use your intention for it. That's all you really need. You don't need a wand. You don't need all of the, you
The
don't need an altar to do
accoutrement.
any of that. No, you don't. You don't really. And so if you don't have the herbs, or you can't afford to buy all those herbs, or you are limited in space,
Here's
then buy a deck that has the herbs on them and then use that.
Yeah. Ogum staves,
Mm-hmm.
runes. You
Yeah.
can multi-layer your magic.
Yeah.
When I want to do an outcome spell, I do a tarot spread to see how the situation currently is. But then the magic happens. I start replacing the certain cards in certain ways,
Oh,
rewriting things, and then I throw my willpower into the new spread.
that's a
Uh,
genius. I'm gonna have to look at that doing that. That's really flipping
I,
good.
I rewrite it. It's my favorite way of doing tarot magic. Um, if you were giving advice to new readers, what would it be? Both of you.
I want to say is trust your intuition.
Mhm.
Um, with reading, it's a lot of it is practice. It's not being not being afraid of people judging you whether the message is accurate or not. If it resonates, it resonates. If it's not, it doesn't. But you know, it's trusting your gut. It's trusting your intuition.
Mhm.
um because that frees yourself from blocking yourself most of the time. And that
Mhm.
it's, even if you're a seasoned reader, you can find yourself in that position of not trusting yourself and just creating a blockage. So let's just go with the flow. The experience of reading the cards is a personal journey. There's symbols that mean for each one of us something different. Some people
Yes.
use numerology, some people use keywords, some
Mm-hmm.
people just use images that vary from card to card. It's just trusting your own spiritual gifts, because that's how you develop them and gain confidence and proposes you to go forward.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I mean, I was telling Ramon during the orbit interview we had. I read for someone. They had called me and said, "Can you do a reading for me, like a general reading?" I'm like, "Sure." What's I'm like, so I started pulling cards out, and I used the biblical tarot. And as I was reading cards, if I would have read exactly what those messages were, it would have been a whole completely different
Yeah.
reading, and it would have not resonated for them. But I was reading the images. The images to me, I was I had that inner knowing that said read the images, not the card. So I was
Hmm.
reading the images, and the one was the Queen of Feathers, and it's Abigail the peacemaker. She's having a conversation with this man, and to me I saw that as, and I'm like, are you talking to someone? And they start laughing, and I'm like, okay. So then I'm reading again, and then I grab Oracle deck and I pull out Angel card, and I'm like, so what's with this angel? Oh, that's his name. So
Uh,
this whole reading would have made zero sense to them, would have been just a generic reading for them. But I used my intuition the whole time to do that reading for them. And then they're like, well, what's going to happen if I don't pursue talking to them, if I cut it off right here? So I pulled out the moon card, and in that moon card, there's a man sleeping at the bottom of the steps. The moon is shining brightly, but there's steps and there's angels walking up the steps, and it's like they're walking away from the person that's sleeping. I said, to me, I saw that as if you don't pursue this, that person's going to walk away from you and you're going to be left alone, like this person is that's down here sleeping. That person's already in their mid 60s, possibly looking for a romantic connection. So I don't normally like to do love readings. To me, they're just, I don't know, they're kind of icky for me. It's
icky.
they're
That's a
icky.
good word.
They're just kind of icky for me, and I don't I don't like doing, especially if it's like a third party, someone else's. I mean, I can try and read around the situation and the energy, but I don't like doing like the third party ones. So I try not to do any romantic ones. But because this was a general, and then romantic just happened to come up, then I went ahead and did the full intuitive reading, and then that was the best message that they got, and they were extremely happy with that. So.
Hmm. And going into symbolism and intuition,
Mm-hmm.
it just occurred to me the perfect example are dreams. We dream and we know the story, and sometimes there's symbols and things that we know exactly what they mean. Like, for example, I can see an alien in a dream, but in the dream I knew that was my brother, for example, even though it looked different.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to have a frame of reference, but your intuition, your own spirit, your own experience tells you what each thing means, how it feels. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like the same thing in dreams. So if you use that example when you're reading, that will definitely free you from being constrained to what this image means, or keywords or numbers. Just
Mm-hmm.
do the exercise of reading for yourself, reading for other
Mm-hmm.
people's, to be able to like develop that muscle, that
Yeah.
intuition.
Correct. That's a great way to start, is reading for yourself. I mean, I feel like that's how I started, was reading for myself, and anybody in my family who was okay to get a half-ass reading, because I was still learning. I'm like can I
I
can I try for
believe.
you? So, and usually the readings made sense. So I was like, it made me feel better, like when they say, "Oh yeah, that's the situation," or
Yeah.
"Yes, it resonates." Then I'm like, okay, then I feel better when I get some type of um like verification on their end that it is going in the right way.
When I started reading, I was very much looking for cues. Am I going in the right direction? Is this making sense? But over time, I don't even remember when. It just got to be like, okay, I'm seeing you like this. This is happening to you. This is this.
Yeah.
Why? And I'm asking questions like it's fact. Why is this happening to you? Why did you decide to do this? And then they will say, just start talking along those lines. So confidence, what you were saying, is a big thing.
Mhm.
We don't really need the tarot cards to do readings on people. They are a way to formulate things and bring them into something we can understand.
So you know what's funny that I do when I'm watching like the lives that other people are doing,
Huh,
I just intuitively automatically say yes, no,
yeah.
I don't know about that, or this is what the possible outcome is. And then when the person's putting the cards down, and I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I was thinking. So that's my way of practicing my intuition, is by watching lives,
I'll
like
give
Angie's lives or anybody else's lives. And then I start to answer on my own way intuitively, and then I'll see what the cards say. So I do that all the time.
this is a great example. Ms. Care Bear here, Karen. Um, I
Hi.
read I read with her the first time, and I think I sent her an email afterwards saying how impressed I was, and just um, i- i- certain readers click in my head. Both of you guys clicked in my head that the authentic button clicks.
Mhm.
Just boom.
The vibes
Ca-
are there, that you get
The vibes are
automatic.
there.
Yeah.
Karen is there, and I believe I told her that I thought she was one of the very true, authentic um, spiritual psychics online,
Hmm.
and I still believe that. I think she's awesome, and we're going to be doing a show on Taurus energy this weekend. Um, but I lost my train of thought there. there. There's a lot of people online who just want to try to make a buck. They bother me. They really do. Um, I didn't see. Yeah, okay. Well, you guys, we've been going at this for over an hour now. Was there anything else you guys wanted to approach on our first show?
Um, so I don't know. Maybe we can talk some of our uh, techniques of protection.
All right,
Hmm.
let's do
You
that.
know, when we talk
Oh, I
about
have a lot
protection,
of
yeah, I think we all have our own little rituals
Yeah.
and things.
stuff. Yeah.
Uh,
But
I
one
mean,
thing to
that's
consider
something
too
that.
is when we talk about protection, it doesn't always necessarily have to be from external forces.
Hmm.
Sometimes we have to ask for guidance to protection from ourselves.
Oh yeah,
How when we
ooh, that's
that's a
that
good
good.
one. You just hit a really good point there. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because that definitely changes the outcome or our view on anything on everything. Protection from ourselves, protection of how we use our words, protection from external forces. it's it's
Hmm.
a it's it's a lot of things that have to be involved, and we all have our little things, our little rituals. And I think you don't have to have, I don't know, it's embedded in who we are as humans. Sometimes I see people who don't even have a spiritual practice do things that might be considered like acts of protection. Like some people don't walk under a ladder, or when they
Step
say
on a
something,
crack on a sidewalk crack. They'll
yeah,
step
they
it.
knock on
Yeah.
wood when
Yeah.
they say something that they don't want to get jinxed. So
Yeah.
it's inherited in our us as humans.
In the
Now we take
In
zeitgeist
it,
our
and everything.
society,
Yeah.
because our
yeah,
society has
our
programmed you to do
society.
that.
Yes.
It could be
And
any like
then
stuff that their parents are. Oh, don't go under the ladder, or don't step on a crack because you're gonna break your mother's back. Like there's a lot of
mhm,
that stuff. But then it makes you think, was that stuff really happening? Was that stuff really true for them to say all of those things? Did it at one point happen like that? Or did someone just have a continuous string of bad luck?
I've wondered about that. Who
You
stepped
know?
on a crack in their mother's
Yeah.
back? Broke? What started it
Yeah.
all?
I
Um,
know.
I believe that the more spiritually attuned we are to higher forces, the more we are affected by outside forces. Like, I'll explain. Somebody who is not spiritual in any sense goes into Walmart, they have no problem. Somebody who is very spiritually attuned goes into Walmart, they have to go in protected, sealed, with holy water, and just all kinds of stuff, stones and crystals.
That
I
place
think,
is dangerous.
yeah, it is.
There's so much energy, and it's not the best energy for
No,
me. Like, that's why I have Walmart deliver my groceries.
me too.
I
Yeah,
cannot walk into a Walmart, but now I have to go pick up my prescriptions because only some of them can be picked up at Walmart because they,
same.
they're able to acquire those meds better than Giant Eagle or different pharmacy or whatever. And I just run in, get my prescriptions, and run right out. Like, I don't touch anything. I don't make eye contact with anybody except for the person that I'm getting my prescription from. I'm in and out like within 10 minutes. And I'm getting anxiety now thinking about going into Walmart.
Yeah,
I have to pick up a med here this week, and I'm like, oh man, I have to go into Walmart again to pick up a prescription, and I don't want to. So I try to set up for them to deliver, and they won't deliver it.
yeah. I take a sleeping pill, and they won't
Oh,
deliver that either.
I already
This
have
section,
anxiety.
this section is sponsored by Target.
Target.
The reason that Celina is saying that, and we all know it, I'm pretty sure, is we're exuding negative energy when we're in Walmart. It's not the relaxing experience people think it is. It's you're there for a reason. Oh my God, there's so many people. Why is this old lady walking in front of me? Why won't they get out of the way? What the hell is this?
Yeah, how rude.
Yeah. And so by
This
the time,
cashier, from the moment you entered, not finding a shopping
That
cart, to the
look.
moment you leave, the rude cashier.
oh,
it's
everything.
Yeah, the look on her
Oh.
face of disgust because she's working there. Like, I pick up on all of those energies.
And the thing
And
is those.
I'd really try and hone in on not being an empathic when I'm going through Walmart, because normally I'm like an octopus. All of my hands are going everywhere and I'm feeling all the energy. But when I'm in there, I'm like, I have to like use a dial mentally and like tone it back so that I have all of my energy fields are close to me and I'm not picking up anybody else's shit, because there's so much shit in those places. And
Yeah. Well,
I'm just,
I have to say, it really depends which Walmart you go to, because here in Philadelphia, Walmarts are rougher than a lot of places in southern Jersey. They're much nicer. It's a totally different experience. And Walmarts in Puerto Rico are totally different too.
Mexico the same way. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like they're fantastic. They're
Yeah.
clean. People are
I'm like,
nice.
what happened?
Like, all the fruits are like so organized
Yeah.
beautifully. I don't know. It's very, very
It's
different.
like I walked into a sim. Everything's just perfect. And
Everything's perfect.
and then you
The
come to
service
these,
is
and
great.
there's like stuff everywhere. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
no.
Yeah,
It really
if
depends on the location, the
But I
fields of
also make
energy
sure
of
I
the
go in
places.
protected too. Like, when I'm going
Yeah.
to these places, I'm putting on my jewelry. I'm calling my guides in with me, and it's only for a simple task of driving there, because our streets here are horrible. Driving there and then going into Walmart and dealing with people there. It's
so what are ways that people could protect themselves from that? Because the reason Walmart's like that is anywhere people congregate and have emotions, when the people leave, those emotions are still there. They're still
Yeah.
psychic cooties,
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
I call them.
You pick up on them. There's
Yeah.
some residual energy that
Yeah.
you pick up from the shopping carts, from the aisles, from.
Oh
I mean, it
man.
sounds funny, but it's true.
It
My
is
husband's
true
a
that
germaphobe, so he like wipes everything down when we had to go, and then he'll take like gloves with him, because he even pumps the gas using like leather gloves. He doesn't touch the pump. He doesn't touch the shopping carts.
That's
That's
also
how that's
Howie
how.
Mandela's like that. He doesn't like touching things. You
Yeah,
see him
and
doing the
he's
fist
like, no,
bumps.
and he's like, do you know how many germs are out there? I'm like, oh my God,
Cooties.
Mhm.
too
Cooties,
many.
psychic
So
cooties.
yeah.
Yeah. spiritual, physical.
But I'm
It's
always
just
wearing
any.
jewelry. I'm always wearing some type of oil to help, to protect me. I mean,
Okay,
I
so
do all of that stuff.
let's assume you don't have access to anything. What would be a good way to protect yourself going in? I use visualization.
Yeah.
I
White
I
light,
white
bubble.
lights,
Yeah.
sometimes
Hmm.
blue tinged light, but
Hmm.
protection. Imagine a brick wall around
Yeah.
yourself. And you could put into that visualization whatever you want. If you
Hmm.
don't want people to talk to you, you know, as you're visualizing your wall picture, just don't talk to me, stay away from me.
Yeah.
Um, Visualization is the key to
Hmm.
any type of magic in spiritual work, in my opinion.
Correct.
You need to be able to see the outcome in your mind.
Not only that, but it's also a reminder that you don't need anything specifically to be able to do any type of magic, to be able to do anything like that. Reflective like a mirror. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good one, Rochelle.
that is a good one. It it is a dangerous one, Rochelle. At least the way I learned it back in the day was when you do that, you are reflecting everything away, but you're kind of starting a new cycle in yourself. You're forcing yourself into some kind of change, spiritual evolution. So
I mean,
uh,
I wear black
I
all
don't
the
know
time
how
for that reason. Yeah,
I don't know
protection.
how true the mirror thing is with visualizing, but yes, I've heard that one before, Rochelle. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our own
Our
ways
ways.
to do it. I mean, but at the end, I also feel that if you have spiritual guides, you have deities that you believe in, you have that resource to go to.
Hmm.
Ask for protection, ask for clarity, ask for peace. To
Yeah.
remove obstacles from your way, and it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It's also mental,
Hmm.
emotional, spiritual ones. Not only external forces, but sometimes those obstacles that we put ourselves in front. Our own fears, our own insecurities.
Hmm.
Just clear the path, clear my mind and my spirit. There is a resource that we go to, especially if we have a connection with the spiritual deity.
Hmm.
We can only affirm our own faith by
Yeah,
making use of it.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So calling in your deities, your ancestors, whoever it is that you
Mm-hmm.
call on to help you, your angels, you call on your angels to do that.
Exactly.
If Archangel Michael, call on him if you need protected of some sort or way. But you don't physically need any tools. You just need to
No.
have your mind itself is what's going to help you get through that.
Altars are a good way for ongoing protection,
Hmm.
prayer. You were saying about your ancestors and family. I give them a cup of coffee every day. Um,
Me
just
too. Yeah.
what up, peeps? That type of thing.
Yeah. Or times of celebration. Like I was telling Ramon the other day, I gave them tequila because I was so excited about
Yeah,
the three of us.
my Theo would
When
love that.
Ramon said he's going to come on with us, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my God, I could
I was so
feel
scared to ask him
my
in case he said
ancestors.
no.
I know. I was so like my ancestors were so excited because I could feel their energy. Like they were like applauding that the three of us were going to do this together. It's like in a way they were telling me this is what we had been prepping you for, Celina, these last 4 to 5 months. This is what we had been prepping you for, is to start doing this and putting yourself out there more and putting an end to your cycle of like your past life cycles and stuff like that.
You have a destiny, Selena. You really do. Um, People are just attracted to you, and I
Thank
love
you.
that you're responsible and are cautious with the advice and words that you give. Um, that it just takes me back to that awful tarot reader here in my town. Um, I believe I have a responsibility. Do you
Hmm.
guys feel that way?
Definitely. With magic,
Yeah.
with tarot
Mm-hmm.
divination, with talking to people on social media, when responding to people who comment, and when someone said something that's not that's the complete opposite of what you're putting out there, but you want to be mindful of what they just said. So be like, to me, I mean, it's yes, it's my channel, but at the same time, I also, and if they say something in a respectful way, then I will respond in a respectful way. And if we don't agree, that's fine. I'm happy that we don't agree, because then that's going to bring in conversation. Then that's going to bring in different ideas, and I want to hear what they have to say. And to me, that's my responsibility of every time I post a video. Is there's going to be positive and negative, and it just depends
Oh
on how
yeah.
I'm going to respond to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just accept that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not.
Well, you're my cup of whiskey. How about that?
I'm your cup of whiskey. All right. Yeah, everybody, you have tuned into the Latin Connection here.
Ooh.
With protection, if you're unsure of how to visualize, you guys, you could always draw in chalk on the floor, or put a string. A 5-foot piece of string will reach around your body, and just imagine that string as the wall to help you visualize until you can do it
Mhm.
without thinking. Every
Mhm.
night, I think it was Buckland's Blue Book, the big blue book. He had a technique for visualization and practice protection, where you picture orange slices going around your body and just creating that protective bubble around you. And that's one of the ways that I visualize being protected.
Hmm.
Uh, I,
It could be a
I,
personal thing, you know. It doesn't. I mean, there's things that traditionally have been used for protection, but you could have your own tokens of
Mhm.
physical
yes,
representations of
as
what
long
protection means for you.
as long
As
as they
long
are
as
fueled by your belief. And
exactly your energy, your trust. Like for example, I have this. I had for years. I had a red string on my left
Mhm.
hand. With in a lot of cultures, it's been represented as protection, you know, to ward the evil eye. But I
yeah,
also have what's called, and you guys might know this. This is la mano da sabache, the jet hand.
Mhm.
And the hand, it's a ancient figure, a symbol of protection. You know, we have, like, for example, the hamsa is one of them. This one,
The
it's called
evil
la mano de
eye.
fi. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is la mano de figa, and it's been a symbol in since the Etruscans. So we use it in Latin America, as and it's made from jet, which is fossilized wood.
Mhm.
But it's used in Latin America, which came from Spain, which came from the Romans, which came from the Etruscans. Yeah, I have hamsas all around my
ooh,
house, all around
Yep.
my house, everywhere. I actually have one here. I have it in my car. I
Yep.
have it in my keychain, my kitchen. But this one is La mano da sabache. Is it looks like this. It's like a fist with this
Mhm.
symbol,
mhm.
and it's sort of like giving the finger to
Right back
evil.
to them.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I replace it. The whole idea is protection, and it gets to the point that it absorbs so much negative energy that it breaks off. And sometimes the way it breaks
Yes.
off is like the weirdest ways. So I
Yes.
have like extra ones to keep replacing it.
So when it
And
breaks
That's
this is
off, that
cool.
means that it did its job. Someone was
it did
sending
its
you that
job.
evil eye, evil and bad intents, whatever. And then that's when, if it breaks or falls off, then you replace it with another one, like you just said. So I
That's
do
Yes.
the same thing.
awesome.
That is why.
Yeah.
So this one I got sent by Yadira from Underneath the Veil of Marigolds. She sent me this one, but I have a bunch of other ones that are backup. I mean, look at all this stuff that is all backup, just in case anything happens.
Whoa, dude.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
have a lot. I have like
yeah.
20 of these
And then
hands.
like my mom, she's in
Hmm.
Mexico, and I called her the other day, and she's like, "What do you want me to bring you back?" And I'm like, "Anything evil eye, anything red, like red string from Mexico." She's like, "Okay." So I'm always at like it's the smallest little thing that you can find at the mercado, at the market. But
That's
to me,
evil
it
eye.
means a lot, and I feel like it's gonna protect me. And
That's evil
it's
eye
not some.
related.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That it's evil eye.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
I have this. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a little bottle
I
of
love that.
with the evil eye, and
Yeah,
there I put like some protective oil, and I usually carry with me.
That's
I'll
awesome.
send you one.
nice. I love that's beautiful.
I'll send you one
Thank
on
you.
mail.
Yeah, thank you.
I
It's
like
beautiful.
to wear citrine. Citrine doesn't repel negativity. It takes it and transmutes it into
Yeah,
positivity.
yeah. So that's your citrine, and this is my prehnite. I love prehnite, and then my amethyst, and then I wear hematite, and then I wear my evil eye bracelet.
Maureen, I have a question. You put a horseshoe above the door in the Irish tradition. Do you put it
Facing
with
up or facing down?
yeah, facing up or facing
I
down?
do mine facing up. The same with the broom. I have a broom above my door. When you walk in, there's a broom right above that. To me, that's another form of protection.
I've got my Bridget's cross on the wall. That's
Yeah.
my protection for this room, and then saging, incense, intention. This is my sanctuary.
Thing.
This is my spot.
These are all like different forms of
Face up.
incense that I use. Yeah, but I always do it face up.
Yeah, same thing with the broom. I put the
Yeah.
bristles. I've got a little
So if you
besom
do it
hanging by
up,
the door.
to
Yeah.
me, that's when you don't want unwanted people coming to your house. And then I never put a welcome sign because I'm not just welcoming anybody in my house. So I'll never buy a sign that says welcome on it, like a doormat, because I don't want anybody just to be welcomed in my house, and not just anybody, but any soul. Like I don't want any of that happening. So I will never use the word welcome on anything like that. For that reason.
That's interesting.
Everybody agrees.
That's true. If you
Face
think
up.
of that. Mm-hmm.
It keeps the luck in. You're right. Everybody is
Yeah.
agreeing. Face up.
Yep.
Yeah, we all have our little, I
Yeah.
don't know, like rituals. Like for example, if when I'm reading cards between readings, especially if I'm reading for different people, I knock 3 times on the card to clear the energy.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And for me, when I'm knocking on those cards, because they really are wood, it's like, hey, it's almost like a wake up, like, hello, I'm here. Do you want to come out and talk to me? Like that's why I knock on them 3 times.
I
And to
made
me,
it a
3 is that
point.
number. Like I use the number 3 when I'm doing spells, when I'm using herbs, like I'll go with the number 3. Sometimes if it's a more intense spell, I'll do 7 because I like the number 7, but I do 3.
I always do odd numbers too.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize it was an odd number, but yeah.
Yeah, I always do odd numbers. What we were talking about techniques in between readings, I made it a point not to say this name tonight, but I'm gonna say it now. My friend Chris, when he
Chris
does
Butler,
his...
I knew it. Chris Butler. He always comes up in all the videos. Hello.
It's
and how much he's talked about in every...
I love that dude so much.
Jesus, get a room.
Between Chris Butler and between Chris Butler and MJ Coolinen, they are my 2 favorite art, and then Sasha's decks. Oh my gosh. But in
I
between,
do love MJ's.
Yeah. In between Chris's readings, and if you do readings with him, Ramon, watch him. In between, you see him looking down. What he's doing is he's putting the cards back in order after every single reading. I can't do that. That drives
I'm
me
teasing you. I'm teasing you, right?
Oh yeah, I know. That drives me nuts, though. I couldn't do that in between every reading. I think if the cards are meant to be in a certain way, there are situations I know they're not meant to be
organized in like the order of the cards, like all the arcana is organized, and
from Fool to the World.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
From Ace to 10, he'll reset the deck every time.
What I do is between readings, I don't repeat the cards. Like for example, if I'm reading for someone, especially when I'm doing live readings, I use that card, I put it aside and continue what's left in the deck.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
yeah.
I believe that tarot has like so many messages within the cards that I can still find the same meaning in
In a
another
different
card.
card. Oh,
You
that's
know.
pretty. I like
L-
that
La
because I
Senora.
hate when they come out again. Even though I shuffled, and then the same card comes out again, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why is this card coming out again? To me,
Yes.
Mhm.
it
Miss,
just makes me feel bad for the next person that I'm reading for because it's the same stinking card, and they're gonna think I didn't shuffle, but I've been shuffling
yeah,
the heck out of that deck, and it comes out again.
Mm-hmm.
that's why I like to use different decks, and if the same card keeps coming out,
I mean,
we
so
know.
the other day someone asked me, how do you decide what deck you're going to use?
You just feel it.
Yeah,
And that's what I
there's
said. I'm like, it's
Mm-hmm.
just whatever it is I'm feeling. If I only feel like grabbing oracle decks, I'll grab an oracle deck. If I have,
is there's
it's
a
just whatever
It's
I'm
like,
called.
why do you wear this shirt or the other? You just feel like it. You just know you're gonna
yeah.
feel
Yeah.
good in that shirt today.
I'll take it
You
a
know.
step further than that. Why do you wear a shirt instead of a sweater? Um, because the shirt is applicable for this thing. Because a
Mm-hmm.
shirt, it's
The
not hot
weather.
outside. Yeah,
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
it's
mean, I had on a shirt previously, but then I was outside and it was cold. And I'm like, sorry, guys. I looked cute earlier, but now I just have a hoodie on.
you always look cute, mama.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I was like, it's just gonna be and not only that, but it's like my vampire hoodie.
Vampire hoodie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
stalker
have a
card. Yeah, Madu.
stalker.
protection ritual that I've been using for I don't know, like more than 15 years, and it's with using a pomegranate.
Oh,
So it's at the end, yes, at the entrance of my house. I actually have a video on my channel explaining the whole process. But next to the entrance of the main entrance of the house, on a table, on a dish, I have, which is happens to be a Hamsa dish also. I have a
yeah.
pomegranate, and to me, the pomegranate, what it does, it absorbs all the negative energy coming through the door. Pomegranate, it's a magical fruit, and the seeds, there's so many seeds with so much energy that
Hmm.
it just infuses itself by absorbing all that energy. So I replace it. I know it starts to it's
It's
spent
really
when
hard.
it starts to dry out,
Yeah,
and I've had pomegranates in the past, but which I don't use for magical purposes, that after a couple of days they start to rot. But these ones,
it's
like,
dry and hard.
it dries out. It dries
Yeah.
out. So on the video, I'm actually going to post the link. I explain how I responsibly dispose of the fruit as well, because it's not just like tossing it around and
And the
having someone
garbage.
else pick up that energy. I use a
Oh,
black cloth to cover it. I do a prayer, to part with the pomegranate. I use a red string and everything. I'm actually going to post now the link. But to me, that's
well, I felt reckless
one
getting rid of
ritual,
mine.
one ritual that works for me.
Yeah.
And
You say
I just love it.
pomegranate. I hear Persephone.
Well,
And I
I
so
get
I
so
did
always
excited when I see
so I did
pomegranates, because they're
pomegranates
not
at
always,
Hecate.
yeah, they're not always in season.
No,
Um,
but hers
but
dried
when
up and I just threw it away and I didn't do it the same way you did. But it like I said, I mean, it got really hard and it was like,
Mhm.
it was done with. It wasn't rotten, but it was like all shriveled up and dried. But I didn't
That's
wrap it up.
something
I
we
just
should probably
Yeah.
point out. That's another form of protection, you guys. Don't if you do a ritual like this, or if you put food on your altar, don't eat it afterwards.
No.
Don't.
Mm-mm.
It's
Respectfully remove it. Just like for example,
yeah.
the going back to the pomegranate. I buy a pomegranate for the entrance of my house, but I always offer one to Santa Muerte. That's the my fruit of my favorite fruit to offer to her. When they're not in season, I offer an apple, but pomegranates are like so rich in symbolism and spiritual meaning that
yeah.
I know she enjoys it.
So
I actually
Mexicans,
put.
we use lemons too for that, for
Mhm,
absorbing the negative energy. We use
mhm.
lemons, or like limes. Actually, we use limes.
And then there's the good old huevos.
Yeah,
The
la
huevos, the
limpia.
eggs.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I
Uh,
posted the link to the video that I was referring to, but
Okay.
we all have our little rituals and
Mm-hmm.
things. I have this rattle that I use if I'm reading here for myself and I feel like negative presence, or like to clear out all the negativity around.
Nice.
Yeah, this is elk bark, of elk bark rattle. It's Native American, and to me, just I feel right away the clearing the
Especially
energy.
with the oak. Yeah, with that the
Yeah,
symbolism of the oak. That's really
yeah.
powerful.
Hmm.
mine is bells. I
Yeah,
use
I do
I
bells.
have
bells
bells.
too.
I was gonna
Or
go to that.
clapping.
I
Yeah.
have this bell. I have this one, which is Tibetan. It's like the
That's
vibration of it.
nice.
Yeah,
I wish I
Ooh.
could use singing bowls, but I'm hit and miss with those.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love this
Yeah, or
stuff.
you can just clap your hands too to clear out the energy.
It's whatever
Every
works for you.
clap
Yeah.
your hand. You say clap your hands, and I hear Revenge of the Nerds. Clap your hands, everybody. Everybody, clap your hands.
Oh, oh my
Was it
God, we were
great?
watching that yesterday.
I love that movie. Are
Oh my
you
God. And
serious?
then like Fastmont today. Yeah.
You guys, I want to thank you both for being a part of this, and I look forward to future endeavors. What I want to tell everybody is make sure you subscribe to all our channels, because this will be broadcast from Celina's channel sometimes, Ramon's channel sometimes, and my channel sometimes. We are in this together, everybody. So make sure you subscribe
Hmm.
to all our channels. And I want to thank everybody for being here. And I will.
Everybody in the chat.
Oh,
Thank you guys. You guys are
Yes,
before,
for your
amazing.
energy, for your
yeah,
Yeah.
input.
it's been a really good chat, you guys.
Yeah.
I've
The
been
people
watching
in
a
here
lot.
are
It
just
always is. We work together well. Our
Can you
energies
guys,
combine well.
yeah, can you tell me what you got coming up?
I have Bill on Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern time, and we're just going to be chatting. We're not going to be coloring from Bill from the 999 show.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he just said we're just going to be chatting. So I'm excited to see what we're going to be chatting about. And yeah, that's my show on Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern time.
That's
eh,
awesome.
and you, my
On
brother.
Saturday, I'm gonna be on Ginger Face channel. We're gonna be doing paranormal readings on a case of a haunted house.
Ooh.
I love
Speaking of
it.
Yes.
paranormal, I'm sorry, Ramon. I'm so sorry. I
Hmm.
put out a video today that is an
Selena.
alien Lenormand deck, and that just reminded me of the paranormal. So I did like I am doing a
Which one
giveaway.
is that? I have an alien
This one's from
Lenormand,
like
a UFO Lenormand.
this one's a Kipper deck, and I bought an extra one, or not a Kipper, it's a Lenormand, but it's from a Kickstarter. And I am
Uh-huh.
doing a giveaway so that I'm gonna have like a random person win the extra one because I did buy 2 of them.
Okay.
Nice.
So get on there or watch it. You got to use specific emojis to be included in that giveaway. But it's a small just this person from Roswell, New Mexico, who made the alien deck, the alien Lenormand deck, and he's making a Kipper deck
I
as
want to
well.
go
So
there.
What?
I know.
Could you email me a photo? I'm intrigued because I
Yes.
love all that
Yes.
stuff.
Me
I love
too. Me too.
Lenormand and I
You
love
love alien
aliens
stuff,
and
Ramon?
I'll do. Yeah.
Really?
Maybe
Hmm.
that we could do a topic on that about aliens and deities.
Yes.
That's one I want to topic.
Rochelle's big on that, and I know you're having Rochelle on your show, which I'm like so
Yes.
jealous you're doing that. And she's
Hmm.
big on alien stuff, so just a little heads up.
Yes, I'm looking forward to chat with her. So on Saturday, I'm gonna be on Ginger Face channel. On
Mm-hmm.
Monday, on my channel, I'm gonna be doing a show called Moon Alchemy, which I do with Gerald and Linda de Gonzalez
Mm-hmm.
on full moons and new moons.
Yeah.
Harnessing the energy of the moon for readings. On next Friday, I'm gonna have Elizabeth from the More Intuitive Me on In Orbit
That's gonna
with.
be good. Yeah.
Yes, and then I think the week after I'm gonna have Rochelle
Mm-hmm.
from Amethyst Ascension. Looking forward to that
Excited.
chat too. I always look forward to all my chats, and I have Karen like 2 weeks from now. So I have a lot
Oh,
of guests lined up for
you
In
do.
Orbit
You have
with.
some
I
really
want to
good
chat
people
with
lined up.
everybody. I want to chat
Yeah.
with
I do
everybody.
too. I want
Yep, people
everybody
who
around.
have
I know.
channels, people who don't, people who
Yeah.
are like active participants, deck creators, like
Yeah.
everybody, because there's always a story behind everybody's experience,
Oh, totally.
and I always take something positive with me from every interaction. So
I
love
love
my
your In Orbit with. It's
and I love your behind the cards. I watch Linda's and I totally love that show. Oh
Yeah.
you
my god, it
learn
was
so much about.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's neat
And she was
because
and
it
I
gives us
didn't know she
a
was on Baha'i. I went to a Baha'i temple. Oh my god, like more than 15 years ago in Panama City. There's one
Wow.
beautiful, and I was a little bit like shocked to learn that she still holds on to that faith, and
I
Wow.
eh, to
you
I
her
love that
learn.
both of your interviews are so completely different and they bring out like complete different responses from me because I mean for me it's been recent for both of you guys. Obviously you was this week, Ramon, and Bobby was what beginning of April.
I think
So
so.
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
month ago. So the interviews were completely different and they both made me think differently and like they made me dive in a little bit deeper into my practice and why I'm doing stuff that I never would have asked myself why I'm doing these
Mhm.
specific things or why I'm not doing things,
Why
you
is a
know.
big question.
I know,
Know
yeah.
thyself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Know thyself was a phrase my grandma taught me. Noti satam in Latin means know thyself. And I take that to heart.
Yeah.
Look who came in.
Tarot stash.
Yeah, Terrell Stash wants to do a channel takeover and get me on behind the cards. Um, with my channel
You
anniversary coming up, we may just do that.
you've done two with him, two behind the
No,
cards.
he wants to ask me questions. He wants to put me in the hot seat.
Oh, someone wants to do that with me in an orbit with. Someone wants
Right?
me to
I
be the
was thinking
guest
about that the other day. I'm like, I wonder if Ramon's been interviewed and I wonder if Bobby's been interviewed. Have y'all been
on
switched
our
on
own
each other's channel
show.
Joey
or
Uh,
just the
did.
same question? Yeah.
Joey
yeah.
got me. Um, she had some interesting questions. The guests that we bring on, I tell everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And I love hearing those stories because you see the similarities
Yeah.
and you see the differences. You see everything. I love it. And I
The
respect you
uniqueness
so
of
much for
each
the
point of
show
view.
that you do. Um, but yeah, thank you once again, everybody. This is what I've got coming up. I've got Care Bear on the 9th. What is today? The 8th?
So
Oh,
tomorrow.
so tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And then Jeff, Tarot Back Askwards on the 13th. Elizabeth will be on the 24th of May.
That's my
And then
birthday.
is it really?
Yeah.
Gotta have a birthday
I'm a
party for
Gemini.
mine. And then
When's your birthday again, Ramon?
May 24th in a few
Okay.
weeks.
Wow.
and then
Yes. I'll be 52 years old.
como
No
chingas,
way.
viejito.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in your 50s?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
You guys are
55.
lying.
No,
No, for real.
I'm the oldest in the room. I'm 54. 54. I'll be 55 in a couple months.
Wow. You guys don't look
I'm
it.
proud to made it this far, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, my husband's going to be 54 in June. He's a Gemini.
We're brown.
Yeah.
Brown don't fall down. All right, you guys. Thanks for being here, and make sure you subscribe to all our channels so that you see every one of these behind the moons that we do. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you on the next show.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.